Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Author Collaborative. As always, I'll be talking to an author whose book I have recently read and enjoyed. My guest for this week is Ashish Rastogi. He is appearing on the show for the second time, and with he's coming with the book of which I have read the first part, and this is the second book in the series that I have read, and it is just as entertaining and hilarious, and also quite educating in the area of LGBTQ romance. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation to stay connected. Okay, Ashish is already here. I'm going to wait for a few more people to join before inviting him. Hi, Ashish. I've sent you an invitation. See if you have received it. Okay, I don't think you have received it. Hi, Arthi. Thank you for joining. A fresh invitation. See if you were able to receive it. If not, I'll send another one. Hi, Siddhant. Thank you for joining. Hi, Nilshri. Ashish, can you let me know in the comments if you are here, whether you have received the invitation? If not, I'll send another one. It does not seem like my invitation went through. I'm going to send another one. Yeah, Ashish, I have sent another invitation. I sent a fresh invite. Thank you, Nilshri. The weather is becoming a little pleasant now, so I can afford to wear thinner clothes. That's why this top. It's not peak winter anymore. We are transitioning into spring now. Okay. Ashish, I sent a fresh invitation. See, please check. Hey, hi,
Hi.
Ashish.
Hi.
Can't see you, but you are here.
Yeah, I'm here finally, at least. Good
I
morning or good
Yes,
afternoon.
thank you,
Yeah.
and welcome back to the show. I must say. You
Yeah.
are coming for a second time, and it's really I'm looking forward to it because I was looking forward to reading the book, having you again on the show also.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, I'm just going to confirm with the audience that if they are able to see both of us. Nilsi, can you let me know in the comments if both of us are visible? If yes, we can continue with the show. Otherwise, I'll invite Ashish again, or we can start a new live video.
I
Let us
think there
find.
is no.
Yes, Nilsi has confirmed. Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
before
Okay, that's good.
we go on to our books, first briefly introduce yourself to the audience, Ashish.
Okay, so my name, of course, is Ashish, as you have been mentioning. I am a medical professional, and around, I would say, 20 years back, I moved into clinical research field, and I started writing stories and novels in 2017, published my first book in 2018, and since then, the book that we are going to be talking about is my fifth book.
Okay, wow. So book number 5. And I have read two of those and I absolutely loved both of them. The You already know, the 5 day plan was one of my top reads of the year in which I read it. And then now this, I'm pretty sure it's going to end up in the top 10 for this year also because it's so entertaining. We revisit the characters that we were introduced to in the first book, and then we have Elliot's story. So it was like very, very entertaining and educating because I think a lot of people are not aware about the struggles of the people in this community and how they struggle for acceptance, to find love, and so much more. I'm just going to show everyone the cover. So this is the book that we are talking about, Cleats, Corsets, and the Cutie, and it's based on romance, and it covers the topic of pansexuality, which I think everyone needs an education on. So, Ashish, I'm going to read out from the first chapter itself. It is one of those scenes where, I was laughing out loud. And there are many such scenes in the entire book, but this is one of those in the very beginning, and I was laughing continuously. So, this is when the two main characters meet each other, and something hilarious happens. This is how it goes. Ginny turns and slams her palm to her forehead. What will we ever do with you? She huffs in frustration and places her hands on her waist. The group is called Abba, not Abba. Repeat after me. Abba. I make puppy eyes at her and repeat the name, making every effort to get the pronunciation correct. I did wonder why a European group would label themselves using the Urdu word for father. Raghu makes a mess of this. Raghu needs more time. I squeeze my eyes, praying to God. The sound of hoots, hollers, and claps trickling through the walls makes my knees turn into butter on a frying pan. Oh, oh, what, mate? Janet walks to stand beside me. With shoulder length black hair braided into pleats and a tuft of pink hair flowing across her forehead, she is dressed in her official navy blue jacket over a white collared shirt and matching blue trousers. As usual, she has her Converse shoes on when doing club rounds during open hours. Raghu, exciting but also anxieting. All emotions in a mixture are grinding. I move my right fist in a circle over my left palm. Janet chuckles. Such a cutie. But she waves her index finger in an arc. You are not backing away now. She unties my apron and straightens my borrowed sky blue cotton shirt, patting my chest in reassurance. Henry, the bouncer, with a permanent scowl, has short, curly hair and a darker skin than mine. He matches my almost 100 kilos weight and 6 feet height, though his muscles are more defined. He was kind enough to lend me a dress shirt for tonight, and he learned of the potpourri the staff of the club had concocted. When you can do this, Janet winks and positions the tray in my hands. Remember what I told you. Breathe, smile. I like your performance. I parrot the words. She nods and sends me on my way to the backstage dressing room. Khatu Shyamji, Laz Rakho Mari. I plead with my family's deity to keep my dignity. Ready, chef? Henry greets me at the door of the dressing room. No, Raghu, not ready. I wipe the sweat off my forehead with my hand towel and tuck it back into my black trousers while balancing the tray on my other hand. Who is not ready? A familiar voice startles me a few seconds after the cherry fragrance hits my nose. In my haste to turn, the tray sways and trips on the dame. The chicken legs have their own agenda. They sneak into the wedge between the dames. Into the dames. Even my mind is stuttering. Big bosoms. The chutney splatters on her face. The plate and steel cutlery run for their life and clatter to the ground. Boxed in by a wide-eyed Henry behind me, I do not even have the option to scamper from the crime scene. Sorry, sorry. I plunge my hand to retrieve the deviant bird's legs, but my thick palm gets stuck between her breasts. The chicken legs decide to play hide and seek. They move lower into the dress. I huff and take my hand out. The dame's eyes are two saucers. Fake, they are fake, she clarifies, waving her hands in crazy patterns. My mind stuck on the lingering squishy feeling on my hands after groping the dame has gone numb. In a frenzied state, I make an error the size of a camel. I pull at the neckline of her purple satin blouse and rip it apart. The chickens drop to the ground with a plop. They tumble merrily to the side after causing such mayhem to watch the drama unfold from the sidelines as the crowds in India do. Oh dear. If you wanted to see me naked, you should have just asked. The dame chuckles, holding the two torn edges of her dress close to her heart. Henry joins her with a belly shaking laugh. I should drown myself in the Ranisar Padmasar lake, but unfortunately the pond is beside the Mehrana fort thousands of kilometers away in Jodhpur. So I take the only available option, scurry from the scene to escape the club. If I survive my humiliation, I will try to find another job. I hope Janet will give me a reference. At least say hi, the dame calls from behind. No hi, only bye bye. I shake my hands above my head, not daring to look back. What a colossal shame to Raghavendra Singh Rathore, once India's most promising freestyle Olympic wrestler in the 97 kilo class, and the eldest son of Nahar Singh Rathore, retired principal of Government Senior Secondary School of Jodhpur. So this is the scene where they are in front of each other, like they are having a proper, not a proper conversation, but they are actually exchanging words. And I was laughing all throughout it because the scene is so visual. I mean, I was trying to imagine the chicken going down the dame's dress and him pulling it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Very funny. So yeah, well done on a scene, very entertainingly written, and of course the book is also highly entertaining. Almost all through the chapters there are many scenes like that. Ashish, I have a few questions based on my reading of the book. Are you ready to answer those? I
Sure.
The book was really entertaining and also educating for me. My first question to you is, you have mentioned in your acknowledgements that Eliot's story was the result of people's feedback that you received on the first book. So tell us how much of this story was already in your mind when you wrote that book, and how much of it was added later on once you started getting people's requests that they want to read Eliot's story also. How many characters were already in your mind? What were the backstories like? And did you work on their backstories more once you had a clearer idea? What about the other characters and their story? What was the process of tying it all together like?
So, to be frank, Manali, this book was not going to be written.
Hmm.
I I don't. I'm a little scared of writing, sequels and or writing books from with related characters. But people had written back in the reviews, and some people also who have know me and who had read this book did tell me that this Eliot is a very vibrant character, and uh, we want to read this person's story. And now that was a very big dilemma for me because to bring that kind of transparency back,
Hmm.
that led back into the character and to give the character a whole story.
Hmm. Hello?
I was looking at a drag show, and in that there is a sports star who, for some charitable purpose, he does this. He dresses up in drag and comes on the show, and that was, I would say, my tube light moment for Elliot, where I said, "This is Elliot.
Hmm.
This is Elliot," because Elliot is a very, I would say, loud and very sassy. So something like he had to be given a very bigger persona than what was there in the first book. So
Yes.
that's how it came about, and I think Raghu just fell into the story. I wanted to when Raghu's character came up, I wanted someone who was came from a very humble background. There was a very educational and class difference between Elliot and this person. So you have
Hmm.
Elliot, who is very vibrant, very loud, and uh, even in the non-drag, persona,
Yes.
and he's very famous. He's very famous.
Hmm.
And on the other side is this person who is practically, I think, an asylum seeker, though I
Hmm.
have not mentioned it in the book. And he's come from a Hindi speaking background, so you see all that how his English conversation runs. So that's how Elliot and Raghu was built up. The other, I think, key characters from the previous book are Elliot's mother,
Hmm.
Elizabeth, and then Akhil and Dan. and his father, Mr. Philip. So
Hmm.
those characters, of course, they already had a personality and a backstory, and just I needed to build it into the into this book.
Yes.
And since the story is happening after 2020 in
Hmm.
the mind in the mental framework of my writing this book, and then obviously the references to the pandemic come in, and that's where Raghu's backstory is centered.
Hmm.
So I think that I hope I have answered your question, and
Yes, we do have. We learned that that was the time that Raghu learned cooking, and that was the time he developed that skill, and he had someone to teach him those things. And
yeah.
I also want to ask about the new characters that are introduced in this particular series, in this particular book in the series. We have the people who are running the club, Raghu's colleagues are there, and then we also have Elliot's mentor, the Queen Bee, who trains him in the drag. So what were those characters like? How did you come up with those?
So obviously, when I decided that Elliot would have a separate personality,
Hmm.
um, and that would be a drag personality, so I had to dive deep and read up about the drag scene, especially the British
Hmm.
drag scene, because the story is set in London, and look at how the dynamics in the community
Hmm.
work. Look at the makeup. I literally read how they do the makeup and all those things, and the slang, the phrases, what kind of language they use. Watched a few shows also to
Yes.
to understand how the dynamics work. And I think from the new character's perspective, Queen Bee is the mentor is the highlight of the new characters that come in, and the relationship that Elliot has with this person
Hmm.
is also very strong.
Hmm.
Apart from that, I think Raghu's family that comes into the scene at mainly in in the last part.
Hmm.
Um, I wanted to contrast the family. So if you remember the first book, Akhil is abandoned. His
Yes.
family
Yes.
totally given up on him, and he has cut off his ties with his family.
Yes.
So in this book, I wanted to show a different kind of family, a family that is accepting, that is loving, and that would sacrifice everything for the child. So that's how the contrast
Yeah,
comes. So anybody here who reads both the books would
yeah,
understand.
and I was also intrigued by how you have subtly put in the. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but Akhil comes from a background where his family is well educated and they are well to do in societal terms. But this person, he comes from a humble background. His parents are not very well educated. And yet they are accepting of Raghu's sexuality. And whereas the background that Akhil comes from, one would expect that, since they are well educated and they would be more broad minded and open to such things. But here, there is a family that they don't have any idea, or they might be having very little idea about this community and how this kind of sexuality works. And yet they are accepting it.
Yeah. So it was a bit intentional, I would say, because there is this argument, especially in India, that um, this is an urban phenomena.
Hmm.
The LGBT community and the way of living is an urban phenomena, and it's not there in the tier two cities or in the rural belt.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to bring that angle also out. That it's not that it's there everywhere. You just have to open your eyes and look at it, and you'll find people from the community everywhere, and they are living their lives. And it's not that education determines whether you are open-minded or you are closed.
Hmm.
Um, it is what you feel inside your heart. That's
Yes.
what's more.
Yes. And definitely. absolutely. Your education and which place you belong to doesn't matter at all because they are from Jodhpur. I mean, that's a tier two city in India, and still they are accepting of Raghu in such a sweet manner. I mean, they have no problem in accepting Elliot also when he comes to their house for the first time. They welcome him with open arms. Okay, that brings me to my next question, Ashish. This time you have touched upon a different sexuality in the rim. In the first one we had gay. Here we have pansexuality. So was there a reason for doing so? Also, take us through the process of research. How much of it was a first-time revelation for you as well, and how did you decide what to use in the story and what not to include in the story?
Okay. So I think sexuality, as far as Eliot is concerned, it is more to do with his character,
Hmm.
his personality, and he is a very open person, very outgoing person, and uh, he may be joking and he may be very fun, but behind that, he is a very accepting and a very nice person.
Hmm.
And so I again, it has to be something bigger than um, a straight jacket way of presenting him.
Hmm.
And I believe, as far as the sexuality part is concerned, there was not so much new to read about or to understand. The more major, I would say, in this book, the research went into the drag scene
Yeah.
and the dynamics for Raghu's family. So
Hmm.
that was the more major areas for me to research, especially because if you see in this, there's a lot of Rajasthani dialect that has been used.
Yes.
So I had to again look at videos. I had to reach out into my network to people who are from Rajasthan, and there was a school teacher that I know. There's an author Vikas who is there. Then one of my cousins, she has people from the Marwadi background from Rajasthan. So taking inputs, small inputs on the dialect from them, that was very important for me, and of course the accent.
Okay, lovely. So, during your research on the drag scene, did you come across anything that was a revelation for you and you felt like this has to be included in the story?
I think as far as Revelation was concerned, not so much, but I would say the makeup scene that is there,
Hmm.
that was important to include. How the transformation happens.
Hmm.
Uh, the Queen Bee character had to be there.
Hmm.
That was very important because that mentorship aspect in the drag scene is very significant.
Okay.
Um, so that's why I included those two had
Okay.
to be there.
And it's very aesthetically beautifully done because I think, as I was mentioning earlier also, this book is like an education in itself because we don't know much about the people who are in the community, who are into the drag scene, because we have only seen them from afar, or we have only seen them decked up. We don't know what the process is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that brings me to the end of my questions that I had for you. The floor is yours now, Ashish.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Manali. And I think your book, if people can see this, embraces in ink. I would say first of all, the cover is beautiful. I like the concept of putting the roses and the petals scattered. So that is very beautiful. And
Thank you.
I was surprised to see I would say, content of the way the book is structured. Why I say it is from I personally believe that poetry books should be based on themes. They
Yes.
should not be random poems. And from my perspective, I've just read one or two other books, other poetry books that were based on a central theme. So I was delightfully surprised to find this over here, and the uniqueness of having poems written as letters to that was also a very unique concept, and I really like that. So I'll just what we'll do is we have a small audience. I'll just read a few lines and let's see if someone in the audience can guess what I'm talking about.
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
So uh, so these will be lines from anywhere between, so that you don't get the context.
Hmm.
Uh, if any relationship in my life defines the its complicated status to perfection, it's ours. I took my time to accept I need you, preferring the blurry vision your actions provided. For about 2 to 3 years, I had trouble making you a part of my life, preferring your fancy cousin, the contact lens. So I
Nilshri
think
is
the last one.
already, yeah, I think we have Nilshri and Sona in the audience. So Nilshri has read the book, so I am assuming she knows what this letter is particularly addressed to. Let's see if Sona is able to guess. Sona, you've read,
Ah,
you have listened to what Ashish just read out. Are you able? Oh, yeah, she guessed it. Glasses.
yes. Let's look at the other one, the second lines that I've chosen. We spent many days together, sometimes hours at end. But my favorite moments with you are after dark. The nights spent with you always leave me satisfied, sometimes keeping up till the break of dawn.
Yes. Let's see if Sona can guess what we are talking about in this letter. Sona, it's something that connects. Yes. Oh my God, Sona is very intuitive. I must say, she is it.
Yes, very, very right, very right, very right, very right. So that's the beauty of this book, you know. So it starts off with, uh, I would say, poetry that is addressed to certain mundane, daily life things. Then it moves to self, it moves to family, friends, and the human aspects. And that is where my question to you lies that usually when I write poems, these are random poems, random thoughts that come to me and all. But this is a very structured poetry book. So were these written, with a plot in line? Okay, this is what I'll write, and then you started writing for each section, or what was it? A lot of poems that were written, and then you arrange them in a way that the book would form into a structure.
So it was a combination of the two, Ashish. To answer your question, it was a combination of the two things. That yes, some of them were written in mind with the structure of the poetry book in mind, but some of them were written very randomly. So I think it started long back when I started writing poetry first as a teenager, about decades ago. When I started writing poetry, I always had this habit of writing poetry in the form of letters, addressing anyone and everyone. So I think the habit was cultivated back then, which also led to me continuing this habit when I started my own blog, where I again wrote poetry which was in the form of a letter. And one of the first letters that I wrote when I started putting out these kind of letters on my blog was the letter that I wrote to men, telling them that, feminism is not about anti men or hating men. So that's one of the first letters that I wrote on my blog. And when I had written that letter, I had no idea that, someday I will be writing a book like this, where this letter will be one of the 50 letters that I will make a part of this book. So post that letter, a few other letters followed, which were also on my blog, which were addressed to various people in my life that I wanted to talk about, like talking to my mother or talking to my father or talking to my husband. So all those letters were there, and they were never, intended to be a part of a bigger structure of a book. And then cut to November 2023. Nilshri is here, and she runs a magazine called Arthropod. They had put out a challenge where we were supposed to write letters based on prompts, and they had given us this prompts where we were supposed to write letters to various people, like write a letter to a stranger, write a letter to somebody you envy, write a letter to uh, someone who hurt you. And these were 30 letters that we were supposed to write during the month of November, all the 30 days, and they had given us various 30 prompts to write letters on that. I think the structure began to form after that, because they had given us these prompts and they were all addressed to different kinds of people. So I think that gave me an idea that, this can be converted into a book. And but at that time I had only the theme around various kind of people. The idea about putting objects into the book had not yet culminated in my head. And then after November, in April 2024, I was part of another challenge, which is Block Chatter A to Z challenge. And therein we are supposed to write one post relating to each alphabet of the English, each letter of the English alphabet. And so I continued the same that I had done for Authoropod challenge. And in this Block Chatter A to Z, I continued doing it by including objects also. So that's where the idea of the other things came up, like A for artist, B for books, C for curtain. That's how the it continued. And in that challenge, I focused more on objects rather than focusing on people. I focused more on objects, and that's how a broader theme was developed, where I was able to include both people and objects. And then, later on, when I started compiling it into a book, uh, I was able to divide it into further sections where, not just objects. I had people, but I could divide it into further sections like family, friends, myself, that kind of thing. And that's how the broader theme became, even more broader. I was able to, organize it into a very well sectioned book.
Yeah, I believe that that you have done a wonderful job with regards to how this entire poetry book has been structured,
Thank you.
and it really is beautiful, beautiful in the way it
Thank
flows through the the narration flows through the book. Uh, but having, like you have mentioned, that these were written at separate times for different prompts, and different motivations drove you to write these. Uh, I have known you as a story writer, as a novel writer, as a romance writer, fellow romance writer. So this transition to a poet, and then so what was the toughest segment to put together? Was it things? Was it self? Was it family, friends, or your about the human race? What were the tougher poems for you?
I think the ones that I wrote to the objects were the easiest, because I was putting my heart out there and I was being very humorous also with most of the objects that I was writing the letter to. Especially, the ones that are addressed to the alarm clock, or the one that you read out, the glasses. I'm being very funny and sarcastic in those. So I had fun writing those. Those were very, like, I was relaxed while writing them. I was being myself. But I think the toughest ones were those where I have addressed the friends that I'm no longer in touch with, or somebody that hurt me. Those were the toughest to write. And another section which I think was a little therapeutic was the one where I am addressing myself, where I'm encouraging myself to not give up. There are letters written to my present self, to my past self, to my future self, even my ideal self. So I think those were a little tougher than the other one, because I had to go into the recesses of my mind and bring out my vulnerabilities on paper into words, try to come out of those vulnerabilities also and be as honest as possible. And and they were very therapeutic while writing. And I think the people who have read it have also been saying the same thing, that reading those poems has made them feel very uh, accepting of themselves.
Definitely, and I especially like the way you have done the friends section, the current friends, the past friends, friends that have forgotten you. So that immediately everybody will connect to it, because in our lives we always everybody has those groups of people who are who have still remained friends, who you have lost touch with,
Yes.
and some who have walked away from you. Beautifully done. So
You.
those were my key questions. Yeah.
Okay. So now we come to my favorite part, which is the rapid fire round. Ashish, how we'll do this is we'll do back and forth. One question I will ask and then one question you ask. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So my first question to you is Dan or Elliot, the Keely that you would prefer to have as a sibling and why?
I think in this case it's Elliot. There's no second thought on this because, like I said, he's a very fun character, and would love to have someone like him as a as a sibling.
Yeah, he definitely is. क्या कहते हैं? खुराफती बच्चा है.
Yes. So my rapid fire prose to poetry transition, was there a challenge?
No, not really, because as I was mentioning, I've written poetry for the longest time. I have most experience being a poet rather than anything else. In any other genre, I have not written as much as I've written poetry. The transition was not that difficult because a little bit of my poetic self comes into the prose also that I write. So I don't let go of that poetic bit of me, and somehow instead of reducing or dimming the poetic side of me, I think it enhances it. So it's not been difficult for me. Okay, my next question to you is Raghu or Akhil, who do you think will make a better partner and a brother-in-law? Any reason?
I would say there shouldn't be any difference because from my perspective they are both loving and caring, though in different ways, and so I don't feel there is a difference in those characters.
Yeah, they're both lovely, sweet, caring characters. Definitely. Okay, your turn.
So, do you have a writing cave? Is there a place where you segregate yourself, and tell everyone, don't come inside this room, I'm writing.
Yeah, so uh, there is not one place, but yes, I do have moods where I am like, stay away from me. Yeah. And people do stay away from me because they know if they interfere, all hell will break loose and I will take the house on my everyone's head. So they leave me alone. Wherever I am, there is a particular mood or time of the day when nobody interferes.
Do you have a board that says, do not disturb writer at work?
No,
Or
not yet.
work?
I think my expressions मेरे एक्सप्रेशन से
Okay,
पता चल जाता है कि ये इसको अभी डिस्टर्ब नहीं करना है.
okay, great, great. Go ahead.
Okay, my next one. One quirk or characteristics that you wanted the dame to have and made sure to include it in the story.
I think that's an easy one, sassy and a drama queen. So those characters had to be built in. The only bit of challenge was that Elliot in real life is already sassy and a drama queen, and to have his drag avatar, you had to multiply that effect by 2 to 3 times. So that was the challenge. That was the challenge.
Yes. Okay, your turn.
Okay. So, as an author, as a writer, I think managing your writing and reading time, especially when you are in the thick of your writing phase, when you are drafting or when you are conceptualizing your book or writing stories, how do you balance at that time? Does your writing suffer, reading start suffering, or how do you
No, I
balance
don't
it?
think that has ever been a challenge for me. I don't think so. Because of course, I love reading and I'm a bookworm and I read 100 plus books a year. So I don't think I have ever been able to, you know, sacrifice on my reading. And I don't think I ever will be. Having said that, since became an active writer myself and an author myself who puts out books regularly, I think I also look at reading as something that supplements my writing. So again, they seamlessly merge into each other, where I look at the reading part as something that will motivate me and inspire me in the writing that I am currently doing. So I do have a dedicated part time of the day when I'm only reading. I do have a dedicated part of the day when I'm only writing. So that has never compromised on each other. Like every night before I go to sleep, reading for half an hour or 45 minutes is a ritual that I have been following for the past 5 years now, and that has not been, touch wood, I have not been able to give up on that. Nothing comes in the way of that. That's a habit that I follow. So, and that's not the time I want to write at all. Before going to sleep, reading is the last thing that I want to do. So that doesn't interfere with my writing time at all.
Good, good.
Okay. My next question to you is, which letter from Embraces would you write differently, or a letter that you would include in the collection?
Not differently, I would say, because most of when you read those poems, there are sections that you identify with, like you mentioned before, and the language is, of course, everybody has the unique way of putting things together. But what are elements that I would like to add, perhaps because I am a little bit of nature-loving person,
Hmm.
so mountains, waves, and plants, uh, because they bring a little serenity into our life. So maybe
Yeah.
next, if you decide to write the second part of this, and if Nilishri and her group and a magazine gives you more prompts, so that could be the next part two of this book. That way.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, you've given me, certainly put an idea into my head. I should address nature and its elements. That would be really interesting. Yes, definitely.
So, who in your family is who reads your first draft?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Then that's something that I hold over them for life. I mean, nobody in my close family. In my extended family, I do have an aunt who reads the drafts, and she's also one of my beta readers. And yeah, that's somebody I rely on. But nobody in my close family, like not my parents, not my siblings, not anybody from my in-law side family. No one.
Definitely. It's your turn.
Yes. Okay. My last question to you: which letter from Embraces did you relate to the most, and why?
I think even though I don't keep a diary, the secret keeper was something that's really connecting. Why I say that is because even if you don't write, uh, I think for me, there are moments in the day when you introspect, uh, and वो एक हिंदी में गाना भी है हिंदी मूवी में ना कि मन की आंखें हैं हजार सो
Hmm.
मन से आप कुछ तो पा सकते हो
Hmm.
so you're not putting it on paper with a pen and but definitely your mind your मन जो है वो जानता है कि क्या हो रहा है आपके साथ so the secret keeper is something that
Thank you.
I'm connected very strongly with. So, final question for you. What next for Manali
So
as a writer?
I am currently working on a novel, but I'm not sure whether it will come out before my next poetry book or after it. So this year, at least one book is going to happen, which I want to say would be a poetry book. I'm hoping and aiming for putting out two books, but I'm not sure whether I will be able to do it.
All the best, all the best. I believe whichever you write, whether it's a story or a poetry book, both are going to be lovely, lovely
Thank you.
creations.
Thank you so much. And Ashish, that brings us to the end of the rapid fire round. But since you have read Embraces, I have introduced a new segment in the show, which is called the Gratitude Bingo. I'm going to pull up that now, and we'll do that. It's a fun new segment where you simply have to
I
answer
hope
in
there are
yes or no.
no tough questions.
No, no, none at all. They are very simple questions. Okay, the first question is: did a random act of, so you just have to answer in yes or no. Okay, so this is the first one. Did a random act of kindness?
Yes,
Okay, lovely. Next one. Paid gratitude to an object.
no,
You should do it. It's really fun. Okay, next one. Wrote a gratitude letter.
Not in the recent past.
Okay. Next one. Said sorry to someone in the past 24 hours.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Next one. Said thank you to someone in the last 24 hours.
Yes.
Okay. Next one. Hugged someone in the last 24 hours.
Again, yes.
Oh, wow. Great. Next one. Said something nice or paid a compliment to someone in the last 24 hours.
No, I don't think so.
No, you did to me. You said nice things about my book, so it counts.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Okay. Nice. Next one.
That is,
Forgave
that is
someone.
grace marks from the teacher for being a good student. Okay.
True. Okay. Next one. Forgive someone who hurt you.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a big one because it takes a lot of effort. Okay. Next one. Help someone without any motive or expectation.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Next one. Gave someone a shout out in the last 24 hours.
No.
Okay.
Maybe on social media. Maybe on social media, but I don't know.
Okay. I'm sure you did because we are regularly doing that. As a community of authors, I think we are always supporting each other's work. So I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Listen to someone with empathy and without judgment.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Next one. Spend quiet time alone outside.
Plenty.
Great. Next one. This is the one that most of my guests get stuck. I am hoping you answer in yes. Did not complain a whole day.
Did not complain for a whole day.
Yes.
Uh, I don't think so. I can't truthfully say कि whole day I have not complained. There must be something or the other. It's human nature ना. ये नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ, ऐसे नहीं हुआ, वैसे नहीं हुआ. वो
Yes.
चलता रहता है.
So this is one that most guests are not able to answer in positive. Okay, next one. Wrote three things you like about yourself.
Uh, could you repeat that?
Wrote three things that you like about yourself.
Did I write three things that I liked about
Yes.
myself? No, no, no.
Okay. Next one. Wrote three things that you like about your parents.
I don't say writing. I would say yes, thought about it, but not writing
Okay.
because I don't
That
journal.
even thinking is enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Wrote three things you like about someone you envy.
No, again, thought. Not three things. One thing. I think. Not three things.
इतना भी बड़ा दिल नहीं मेरा. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Next one. Wrote three things you like about a friend or a colleague.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, awesome. Next one. Help, mentored, or shared knowledge with someone.
I'm a trainer, so that's a definite yes.
Obviously, ये तो रोज होता है.
Yes.
Okay, next one. Watch the sunset in the past month.
No, I'm in an urban setup, so sunsets are very difficult to watch. Sunrise definitely, but not sunsets.
Okay. Next one. Observed or appreciated nature and its elements.
Always, always, always.
Yes, you have also already given me an idea for nature element also. So definitely. Next one. Sat in the sunlight in the past week.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Okay, great. Next one. Made someone laugh or smile in the past 24 hours.
Definitely, definitely, yes.
Okay. Next one. Turned or looked at a negative situation in a positive manner.
Turned a negative situation and
Turned,
looked at.
turned or looked at a negative situation in a positive manner.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Did something this month that you have been wanting to do for long.
Mm, No, I can't say that. I don't think so. I can't think about
Okay.
it.
Okay. Next one. Took ownership or responsibility for your mistake.
Yes, so
Okay,
definitely.
you have done, yeah, you've done really well, Ashish. You have answered yes for most of these. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm clapping for
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. But I asked this question to all the guests I have a really good time with, and I laughed and enjoyed. Your book also I enjoyed a lot. So I'm going to ask you, when are you coming up with the next book so I can invite you again?
So I already have a book manuscript ready, but that story I feel is something that needs to go into the rural setup in India,
Okay.
and for that I'm really desperately trying to get it traditionally
Okay.
published. Uh, I'm trying to keep myself patient. That okay, I'll wait this year. I'll try give my effort. Usually, I give 6 months to any story if it gets picked up by a traditional publisher. But for this one, I feel I should wait for 1 year and let's see if something comes up. Otherwise, of course, I've done it before. I'll do it again. I'll self-publish it.
Okay. All the best to you, and I hope you find a great publisher, the kind of publisher that you're looking for, and I'm really looking forward to reading it and having you again on the show.
Thank you so much for having me and having this very, I would say, enthusiastic and happy discussion. Thank you.
Yes, as
To
always,
the
great,
audience that
and
was
look
there,
forward
thank
to
you
having
for the
you
audience.
again. Thank you so much. Bye. Have a great weekend.
Bye bye.